Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Oh man, I love doing these, guys. This is Marvel Studios Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania full spoilers review. Yes, you did hear me correctly. You did see it in the title of this video. You see it at the banner at the bottom of this video. This is going to contain spoilers. We are going to spoil this movie up, down, left, right, in, and out. As if you've already seen it, you have been warned. As you can see, I'm not alone. I got my homies, I got my team to make this trio. I got Elliot with Movie Files to my right. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Phase 5 is here. There's a
Yes, sir.
deliver with this
Yes, sir.
film, man. We'll get into it.
Did it deliver? And I also got on the bottom of myself, E-Man with E-Man's movie review. Sir, hello. How are you doing today?
What's going on? Quick shout out to the Kang gang out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love it. Repping that merch right there. We are big fans of King, aka Jonathan Majors. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there, if you love what all three of us has to say, you can follow us on social media. Our handles are on the screen. They're also in the description box of this video. And like always, you can head over to my channel tab and you have E-Man and Elliot right there on my channel tab. This is what their channels looks like. So please, why only don't just subscribe to my channel, subscribe to their channels as well, because we all have great content to deliver. Now, at this time, we also have our own non-spoiler reviews on our channel because this is spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you can go check those out, subscribe, all that, and then come back. But let's get into this. Let's get into this review right here. This phase 5, this Avengers level threat that director Peyton Reed said. I'll go out and start saying that I really did enjoy the first two Ant-Man films. To me, both of those are in the top 15 of the MCU. Not top 10, but I will say top 15. Both of them, Ant-Man 1 and 2. Really wasn't that excited going in, but I had a good time. However, with Peyton Reed and all of his commentary on how he doesn't want this Quantumania sequel to be a palate cleanser for the Avengers, and then you're involving Kang the Conqueror with Jonathan Majors, my expectations was through the roof. I did enjoy the film, but I don't think it reached that benchmark. But I'm gonna pass it to Elliot, man. Going into this, like, what was your expectations and what was your general impressions of Quantumania, and did it live up to the hype?
Yes, similarly to you, I would have the first Ant-Man in my top 15 or so. Second one is at the bottom of the barrel for me. I
Oh
and I,
wow,
and I revisited Ant-Man and the Wasp, and that film is very forgettable for a lot of different reasons. But
man.
going into this one, I would say, I'm not a big Ant-Man fan. I appreciate what they're kind of going for because I always felt like Marvel, with the not having the acquisition of X-Men and Fantastic Four, Ant-Man to me was always kind of that franchise that kind of scratched the itch of like the MCU first family, if you want to look at it that way, and they're kind of filling that void of a certain sense. So I've always just appreciated what it kind of brought to the MCU, just kind of that, again, that family fundamental aspect of Marvel. And going into this one, the thing that got me excited, you kind of hit on it, was the idea, number one, Quantumania. I'm a big sci-fi fan, and I've always wanted to explore more of that because we obviously got the hints of it in the first one. We explored it in the second one with a couple scenes, but now knowing that we were going to actually explore this was very exciting because, we all speculated what's in the quantum realm. Are the Fantastic Four? Are they trapped there? And all the speculations, all that. So that got me excited. But then when they said we're going to go ahead and put Kang in this thing, I was both excited and nervous. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, Kang, Ant-Man, that's exciting. But then I'm thinking to myself, Kang, Ant-Man doesn't sound that appealing because Kang's here and Ant-Man's on the ground, literally as an ant. So that was some of my excitement and a little bit of nervousness. And overall, we'll get into my thoughts here. I thought that it delivered in some departments, but it also fell short in a lot of other areas. But yeah,
Okay.
we'll break it down.
Okay, passing it to you, man. How'd you feel? Did it reach those expectations? Expectations going in? Did it live up to the hype? All that good stuff. How'd you feel?
Mixed bag on all of that. I mean, similar to Elliot, like I'm not an Ant-Man guy, like I don't go checking for what Scott Lang's doing, I enjoyed the movies. I laugh when there's a funny joke. Shout out to Luis Michael Pena because he definitely should have been in this movie. Complete miss, but that's another conversation. So my expectations for Ant-Man initially were always low because I'm just in there for the laughs. I'm not in there for any, ridiculous MCU transformative, impact, However, Peyton Reed should never utter the words Avengers or Captain America Civil War in the same sentence of Ant-Man. And that right there kind of piqued my interest, as in, like, oh, so you trying to take this up a notch, especially having a huge monumental character of Kang in your movie. So like now I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, I'm not talking about quality. I'm just saying I'm thinking we about to make the level of a jump the way we did from Thor 2 to Thor 3, Thor Ragnarok. I was like, oh, like you about to take it up a notch because you got a great villain. You have the kickoff for phase 5. Like, we already know we doing some crazy things. So, I know some people say you shouldn't have all these expectations with Ant-Man, but I'm like, they're the ones that put all these ingredients in there. If you mean to tell me, hey, I'm gonna cook dinner and it's gonna have lobster and lamb chops and all of this, but then it come out whack. I mean, that's a whole different thing. So I don't think it lived up to those expectations. But it certainly lived up to the expectations of whatever you might think of Ant-Man, for that franchise. And I'm kind of with you guys. Like, it's in the middle for me and all the MCU movies. It's not at the top. It's definitely not at the bottom. But the whole franchise from 1 to 3 are right there in the middle for me.
I got you. I echo all that as well. From both of you. Eman, at this time, you've seen the film twice.
Yeah.
So do you feel, better about it or worse than your first time seeing it?
Same.
Okay.
Same, maybe a little bit worse.
Oh,
not too worse, but like, yeah, just it what confirmed for me was the fact that this does not have good replay value for me. Like, I can't go rewatch this tomorrow, next week, next year, and be like, oh man, I can't wait to see this again. That's not there for me. So that was the only thing that got confirmed for me on my second watch.
I got you. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like this is a good standalone film, or is it nothing but setup for the future of the MCU? And if it is nothing but setup, is that a good or bad thing?
I would say that it is definitely set up, but at the same time, I don't think that if you put anything out in a blockbuster theater, it should be just a piece. It should have standalone value regardless. I mean, nobody goes to a Star Wars movie, for example, for a setup. Like, you go for that movie, and if it happens to build up or connect, then that's even better. But you go for the film. That's what you're paying your money for. That's what your ticket is for. It's not like we're paying the ticket for the entire MCU and this is just one chapter. So I do think that it's not a good thing, that this movie does feel like just an appetizer, just a quick little preview of what's to come. Because honestly, if I'm seeing through your movie and I'm not looking at your movie, that's not a good sign.
Gotcha. Elliot, same question.
Yeah, so I've only seen it once, and hopefully, if time works out, I can see it tomorrow on the day of this recording for a second time. But as far as I would like to see it again, just kind of iron out some of the details that I might have missed, or just kind of see if certain things that didn't work for me the first time maybe work for me the second time, or vice versa. But as far as this film goes, with rewatchability, I enjoy seeing Kang, like, and we'll get into it, the visuals of him and kind of what comes with that, and obviously the post-credit scene and all that stuff. There are elements I'm like, okay, that to me I would love to see, especially in IMAX, because I don't know if you guys got the chance to see it in IMAX, which I'm pretty sure you did. It was visually entertaining on that level, but as far as narratively diving deeper into the story, the themes and the development, which I didn't feel like from, again, going back to your initial question of an Ant-Man through line, I don't know if I can say that Ant-Man at the beginning of this film, to me, had a big leap at the end of the film, because it really didn't have he's the same person. You know, obviously we took this trip to the quantum realm. Him and his daughter are obviously closer now. She's coming out of this as a superhero, but Scott just kind of ended in literally the same place when he's walking down the street. You know, hey, Ant-Man, instead of being called Spider-Man, he's now Ant-Man now. So I don't really know if there's that much of a development from the character. And it does, to me, feels like more of a Age of Ultron setup versus it being like an Ant-Man closing of a franchise, because we know there's gonna be more movies in this franchise. There's literally nothing, no one died. There's more to be told in the story, so it definitely feels more of a setup than like an individual, isolated situation for Ant-Man and the family.
Yeah, after seeing it twice, first time it wasn't in IMAX, not complaining, but last night it was, and I did notice the jump in quality of the image, and for the most part, I think they did a great job there. To answer my own question, I'm kind of in the middle between the standalone and the setup. Not that I hated this film or think it's crap or anything like that, but after seeing it twice, it would have been nice if these stories were separated. You know, while I did enjoy Kang, and of course we're going to talk about him in detail, I'm curious to know how it would have turned out if he was introduced into the MCU a better way. I mean, his intro was Loki, and that was perfectly fine because it was in a way a completely different character than what we got in Quantumania. But I'm on the fence, you know, as far as that's concerned. Also, I did forget, guys, if you want an audio only version of this review, there's a link to that in the description with buzzsprout.com. I am on all of these platforms that you see right here on the screen, as well as SoundCloud. And so if you don't want to do the YouTube or Twitch thing, get the audio only version as well. There you go. Elliot, staying on you, I mean, the subtitle of this movie is Quantumania. 95% of this movie takes place in the microverse.
Yeah.
I think you said you did see. Yeah, I think you did say you saw it in IMAX. I'm pretty sure you'll recommend that. But I going into this, I enjoyed the quantum realm for the most part. It was a bit weird at times. It did have those Star Wars vibes.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige has stated that he designed the MCU in a way to where no matter where you start, you should be able to comprehend what's going on. I don't necessarily know if I feel that way for regular audience members from Quantumania. They may be a bit lost. I could be wrong. So asking you, sir, how did you feel about the quantum realm? Did it work? Effects wise, concept wise, your pros, your cons? How'd you feel about the quantum realm?
So again, being a big sci-fi fan that I am, I did appreciate the idea of going to the quantum realm and all the craziness and wildness and weirdness that came with it. I know we mentioned Star Wars a few times, which, you know, Peyton Reed having his hand in the Star Wars universe with the Mandalorian and playing with all those tools. I definitely think he applied some of those things that he learned and applied it to this film, which again was fun. But I will say again, you hit on the point. We spend so much time, 95% of this film is in the quantum realm. And at first it took me a while to kind of get used to being in this visual effects atmosphere, because to me it almost lended itself. I'm thinking of James Cameron's Avatar, a recent film, The Way of the Water. I felt immersed, knowing that this is all visually effects. Like I felt immersed in that world, where this kind of felt the opposite. Like I felt like I was more of watching what was going on versus actually being a part of what was going on. At points, it does find its momentum and it finds its texture. Like there's some set designs that actually felt like you can be in the quantum realm or be with the freedom fighters that we be in this film. But some of the other effects felt, like I said, very much so, where it's like, oh, that's visually effects. And you can just tell there's actors that are acting against a green screen or acting in the volume that they've been using a lot. So to answer your question, it took a while for me to settle into just being so into this world, and it found a long time for me to actually feel immersed in it. But overall, visually speaking, again, seeing it in IMAX, it eventually I caught on and appreciated the world in which they were trying to build and explore the quantum realm. I still think there's more that I was hoping to explore more of the quantum realm, especially the outside threats that Janet alluded to in the second one that we saw hints of in this one. But overall, I would say I enjoyed it, and I would like to go back to the quantum realm at some point. I don't know if that's in the realm of possibilities, but we'll see.
Would you like a Disney Plus show?
It depends on who we follow. I will say that one character I thought was pretty entertaining, kind of that Xena type of character.
Oh.
Jatora, I think was her name. I can't remember her name. I found her to be pretty badass.
Okay.
But yeah.
I was but right after I passed the Eman, I was going to ask y'all about that particular character. But Eman, same question first, sir. How did the quantum realm work out for you? Good or bad in the middle?
No, I mean, overall, I think good. I actually really like the fact that visually it was very trippy, psychedelic and all that good stuff. Really makes you feel like you're in a different world, like we're at least exploring something new. I love the fact that we don't know, is this creature friendly or not, or is it hostile? I like the diversity in terms of all the different organisms and or beings that we encountered there. I like the fact that everybody just wasn't a humanoid looking thing. So shout out to them for that. It did have some very obvious Star Wars parallels, like at the bar scene, or the sand people and stuff like that. So it was very, very heavy there. I don't think that's a knock, just to kind of pay homage to something.
Right.
It's not like they were trying to copy and act like they wasn't looking at somebody else's homework, because we did see other variations of things on top of that. But yeah, I mean, overall, the quantum realm was kind of interesting. Now I have some questions, because before I watched it, I did watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, just as a refresher, and I was kind of like, how come y'all didn't go crazy? Because that was like a big thing. Like the second Hank Pym went in there, he was like going crazy and wild and all this stuff, and they was just chilling. They was just like, okay, this is your quantum realm, huh? Nice place. And it was all good.
There's no
I was like, shouldn't y'all be getting all kooky and wild and seeing some stuff, and somebody do some brain juju on your head or something?
Didn't Janet have powers after leaving the quantum realm?
Right, and nobody got no powers or nothing. And then on top of that, I'm sorry, we about to get into this.
Let's get into it.
The quantum realm. What time is it? Because I'm sorry, if you spend 5 minutes in the quantum realm, it's like 10 days in the regular world. They was in there for a minute now, and they came out as if it was just like, just the next day. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, okay, did we take some shortcuts here? Did we skip a couple things here? Because it's not it's not flowing. It's not flowing. But outside of that, the one thing that did kind of interest me was the fact that, like, I think that, and maybe again, I have to rewatch it to confirm, but I think they kind of sort of redefine the quantum realm just a little bit. Like, yes, you have to get small to get in there, but like once you're in there, you're kind of like normal size, right? Because I was kind of thinking about the mechanics, like when Scott or Cassie gets large in the quantum realm, is it the same as like when they get large in our universe? But I thought our universe was bigger. So I'm trying to figure out the math, but I guess they're going to just chalk that up to science or whatever. So, I mean, I have more questions, about the place and how things work or don't work. But at the same time, I'm more interested in the fact that there are multiple universes. So like, when Bill Murray comes in and he's like, oh, y'all call yourselves humans. Oh, okay. Well, I'm kind of like that, but I'm not. And I'm like, okay, now I got more questions, So the vastness of the universes within the quantum realm is something that I'm more curious about, and like how it works. But outside of that, it was cool. It was fine. Do I need to go back? No time soon, but I wouldn't be mad if we did.
Well said. I agree with that a lot. Kind of like the question I asked you, Elliot, like, do we need a Disney Plus show or a follow-up? It all depends on who we follow, because I have those same questions that you both have about how the quantum realm works. I'm able to, even without me being able to explain the size thing that you talked about, like if she's big down there, I'm just able to accept it. Like it's relative to scale or whatever. Sure. And so I didn't think about that too much, but definitely, I mean, there's tons of different species down there. Like Hank said, man, I've been studying the quantum realm for years, and I did not know that all this was down here. This changes what we know about everything, and I am curious. I mean, we just kind of got like a little snippet of it, and I'm curious to know more. But at the same time, I'm not in a rush to get back down there. But for the most part, especially during the first act, I was intrigued. I was interested in finding out what's going on. Now, uh, something you talked about, Elliot, but I'm gonna still go to E-Man first. This time, this character right here. How did this character right here work out for you guys? E-Man, starting with you, sir.
I mean, she was like a generic character. Like I wasn't really like that invested in her just because, you know, she seemed like, okay, insert freedom fighter here. And I mean, look, visually great, right? She got the look. She looked like she'd been through some things. She looked like someone you don't want to mess with, and no nonsense and all like that. So that's cool. Is there enough for me to like follow her character, her journey, her backstory? No, not for me. Like if she happens to come up in another adventure, just like, oh hey, it's you again, maybe. But I was not giving her a second thought, like at all.
Gotcha. Elliot, sir. You said that I think you was fond of this character. Please express more,
Yeah.
expound on that if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, no, I mean, so narratively speaking, what interests me in the character was, she was kind of the force in which Cassie saw a little bit of what she hopes to. Obviously, she got her heroic nature from her and her family, and obviously her dad, but also to just kind of seeing it from another perspective, another world. This person that's kind of fighting for the whole Ant-Man thing is looking out for the little person. Her just being that kind of, metaphorically speaking, that person in the narrative that Cassie saw that really kind of strove her and drive her to be the hero that she ended up being in the film. So that was something I enjoyed, but also just from a standpoint of like just a character that was just cool to me. I don't know. She reminded me, because this film to me reminded me a lot of Thor Ragnarok, and there's a lot of like characteristics from, I think, Bill Murray, which is like almost a mirror image of the Grandmaster with played by Jeff Goldblum. And I almost looked at this character, I think her name was Jortana or whatever. She reminded me a lot of like Tessa Thompson, an ex-Valkyrie, someone that was kind of always looking out for, before she became or left the Valkyrie whole setup there, someone that fought for the greater good. And she reminded me a lot of that. So again, I know she's not the most walking out of the theater thinking that she's the best character of the film, but I just, out of all the new characters, she was the most interesting, because I thought Bill Murray was wasted. I thought William Harper Jackson character was wasted. So out of all the new characters, she was the most exciting. I would say that.
Okay. William Harper Jackson, he played Quaz, the black guy with the mind reader. Well, look, as far as symbolism is concerned and what she stood for, great. Especially the second time around, I just didn't care for the performance. It just didn't work for me. It didn't come off realistic. It kind of stood out, like a sore thumb. Just I don't know. So I was surprised when you said that. I don't know. I didn't really feel that Bill Murray's character was wasted. I enjoyed it. It was funny. I thought he served his purpose. Just like a little, hey, how you doing? Pop up and say hello. So that was fine. I did enjoy the joke between, him transitioning, I guess, over to the dark side, joining, Kang's empire, and oh, you didn't tell your mother about us at all. I wouldn't have told my kids either. And, Janet is like, oh, I had needs, and, all that. I found all that funny. I thought that's something that this film did well. But when we're getting to know, when Cassie and Scott, Antman, are at the bar or getting taken hostage, and they have to drink the ooze, and we get that little gooey character, and we get William Jackson Harper's character. I guess you kind of already answered it, but that whole scene or scenario work out for you, or was it a little too over the top?
It was that Ant-Man humor that we've seen before with Ant-Man and his crew. Because I think out of all his crew members, with T.I. and Michael Pena and David's character, that was David voiced that character, I believe. So I mean that to me reminded me of them. If there was some of that funniness from the Ant-Man films, that kind of replaced that scene. And again, I take Ant-Man not too seriously, so I thought it was funny. Was it necessary? No. Did it run on a little bit too long? Yes, because one of my issues with the film, kind of splitting it up into these two different groups, whenever we would go from one group to another, I feel like it was kind of uneven. Like where we when Kang got into the film, that's when I was really more invested into it. But the whole kind of back and forth of this story and that story mixed in with some of the jokes I felt ran a little bit long was this. Some of my criticisms lie within those moments, and that's one of them. I feel like the joke was, all right, we get it. They got to drink the juice to speak the language or whatnot. So it ran just a little bit too long for my taste.
I got you. Again, I really did enjoy the comedy in the first and second act. I just spoke on, Hank and Janice's little dynamic, and Hope like, oh my god, and all that. That was funny. Eman, coming to you. Besides Kang, because I'm confident that was your best part of the movie. You can talk about the comedy or anything else, but like, what was something that you really did like that just stood out? Besides Kang, what was something else that you really was like, they knocked this out the park, if anything at all?
Besides Kang,
yes, besides Kang, or maybe not knocked out the park. He got to think that it was just, it was good. It was on the good side. It wasn't on the bad side. It was on the it was a pro.
No, that was Kang too.
Okay.
No, I'm just playing. I think one of the things I did mention was the theme. I love the theme of time and how it was adapted, right, or how it was perceived. Scott dealing with the idea of like, man, lost time. Kang dealing with how he doesn't even view time the same way we do, but at the same time, it's something he wants to possess. Everybody wants time in different ways. And I really like the fact that they kind of played those dynamics differently with the characters, because the way Kang views it, this makes him a villain. The way Scott views it, it makes him obviously more on the heroic side. He wants to be a father. He wants to be there. He wants to regain that time they'd lost. And I think that's something that, at the end of the day, no matter who's watching, everyone can relate to that, because as a human being, we're temporal. We're only here for so long. So time is valuable to us. So the fact that they were able to use that component within this film thematically, I thought that was actually a positive thing. And it, made it kind of interesting.
Okay. Elliot, besides Kang, you got any, standout pros, that you really liked?
Well, one, I always like to see, like I said, even though I didn't feel like Scott progressed as a character from a narrative perspective, I did enjoy that 8 years into him being Antman, he is perfected the Antman kind of mechanics of it all, how to get big, how to get small. He's not passing out every 5 minutes. He knows how to use the momentum, going back to the first Antman of him and Wasp training. So I enjoyed that, seeing that growth literally from the character from a superhero perspective. That was fun. And also, too, just going back to the name of the film, Ant-Man and the Wasp being Hope in this iteration of these characters, but her mom kind of filling that void and being kind of the forefront. I'm a Michelle Pfeiffer fan. I will always have a soft spot for her from childhood growing up. That's my Catwoman. But I really thought that they gave her a lot more. And narratively, it made sense because obviously she spent the most time in the quantum realm. She knows the ins and outs of the quantum realm. And I thought that she really, to me, as far as outside of Jonathan Majors, she was my second favorite standout in the cast, because I felt that sense of like whenever Kang was brought up and like her fear of Kang and what comes with that and why she kept it a secret to protect her family. I thought that she portrayed that pretty well, but also seeing their dynamic on screen, that dynamic, I did not expect it to be. The chemistry was there to me. Like I felt it was never like romantic or anything, but I just felt like that sense of like when she found him and he came on to her particular land. And then once she figured out who he was, I really thought that she portrayed that well. And just seeing that side of her from going from at the beginning of the movie, a loving mom that wants to, going back to time, spend more time with Hope, to when she's in the realm, very much so like Scott wanted to protect Cassie, she wanted to protect Hope and obviously Hank and make sure that the other family members are out. So I thought that Michelle Pfeiffer really brought her A game. And even though Hope took a back seat, I was okay with it because I thought that Janet really, to me, like I said, was the second standout. And besides Paul Rudd too, but was a standout to me was Miss Hope Van Dyne.
Okay, I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that because the acting was. Oh, okay. The acting was good from her. I did like it. She was very convincing on how dangerous the quantum realm was, and given the exposition of like we cannot let this man get out. You did sense a level of fear in her. I was a bit annoyed that it took her a little too long to get the point across, because when they first landed in the quantum realm, and I think Hank's like, "What's going on?" She's like, "We gotta find Cassie and Scott." Like, no, we can talk and walk at the same time. Like,
hello.
So, but go ahead, E-Man.
No, that was it. Like I totally agree with all the acting. Shout out to her stunt doubles. They was out there putting in the work. Michelle Pfeiffer is great. Also, my Catwoman. I'm with all of that. But the writing for her character was terrible. I did not like that whole idea of like, oh well, I just can't talk about it. Well, you're not talking about it because, let's say, okay, in the beginning, she didn't want to talk about it, but then all of a sudden the machine goes off and they get sucked into the quantum realm. That's fine because a situation interrupted you. However, when you literally had all this time to go riding on some alien star ray fish or whatever, you could have talked. You could have said something. You're in the quantum realm. If it was that big of a deal, hey, so what happened was, that's it. Just let people know. But you only are holding on to this because of a plot device, because you want to build up tension and suspense. And when it's inauthentic like that, it does not work for me. It just comes off as annoying because it's like, would you just tell them, like, what are you doing? And I'm sorry, I was not a fan of what they did with Hope. With Hope, because it's like, your name is literally in the credits. It's literally in the title. Why are you there? The only thing she did was bother her mama and nag her and like come in and kick butt later. That's it. Zero growth, zero progression, nothing with her whatsoever. Matter of fact, she might have had less lines than she had in the last movie. Wow. Now, I get it. Evangeline Lilly might have a couple situations going on, like with her political views or whatnot. But I'm just saying, like, as a character, that was a failure to me, the way that she was portrayed here. And it just didn't do her justice. And, I think Elliot also mentioned like how Scott Lang's character didn't move forward either. Like, what? Like, why? What are we doing? It's y'all movie. It's y'all movie. Like, do something.
Honestly, just to kind of combat that, I think, honestly, thinking at that title now, this might be more so of an original Ant-Man, because I think even Hank Pym gets called Ant-Man by Hope or his wife Janet in this film, and also Janet being in the forefront. So I don't know, maybe it's just in a weird way of Marvel kind of giving Hank Pym, who's supposed to be more integral in Age of Ultron. Okay. I think that they actually are making the original Ant-Man, the Wasp, be more of the focal point. I don't know. We'll have to hear Peyton Reed talk about it a little bit.
If that is true, that's whack. Because y'all not on the cover of the posters. You're not the one people are paying money for. Y'all in the background. Put up the poster. Brandon, I know you got a poster somewhere. Y'all the little tiny people on the poster. Okay. So let's not, let's not act like y'all we trying to look. You see who's up there? Now, here's the thing. It probably would have been better if they had just called this Ant-Man or something like that, or Ant-Man and Cassie, because that was clearly a bigger focal point than anything else. And I liked it. I liked the whole father-daughter thing.
That was my next question. Yeah.
Oh,
so
go ahead.
Go ahead. How'd you feel about them?
No, I was just gonna say, like, this felt natural to what Phase 4 was doing before, which is, hey, let's kind of sort of introduce the potential young Avenger and maybe pass down the torch. I mean, this is the first time we're seeing Cassie in a suit. We're seeing her learn how to do the mechanics and stuff like that, how to fight. She's already got all these aspirations to be a hero. So, and right there, like, this looks like a nice little passing of the torch type of situation where somewhere down the line, she's going to have to take the lead. So that dynamic between the two, I did enjoy that. I thought that was probably the only thing that actually progressed in terms of this franchise and the characters, and their makeup. But I was here for it for the most part. I like Cassie; she's cool. I don't know if I need a solo movie from her yet. Mm-mm. Maybe a Disney Plus series, but even then, I'd be struggling. So, but anyway, I like the dynamic between them.
Not remotely a solo movie or Disney Plus. Yeah. And the thing is, I'm 50-50 with her character. One is I do like her aspirations of, she's cut from the same cloth as her dad.
Sure.
Right. He was in jail. She was in jail. That's just reality sometimes, even though it can be an accident. And I do like her ambition, her aspirations. She wants to be a superhero. She just doesn't want to sit on the sideline. I mean, I'm always going to respect the protester. for the most part, and so she's shrinking cop cars. I did like all of that. I did not like her disrespectful tone towards her daddy, though. That did frustrate me. Eman, you know more than us that parenting and can be very difficult. It's not easy. There's no manual out here. You kind of just gotta, I don't know, I don't even want to comment on it because I may sound silly, but I can understand. The film did a great job of just saying, hey, being a parent isn't easy. But Elliot, coming to you, man, how did you feel about Cassie, Scott and Cassie, their relationship? Do you agree with her, wanting to be a freedom fighter and all that, or did you like the attitude that she had towards Scott, or any other commentary that you have? How do you feel about Cassie and Scott or whatever?
Yeah, no, Cassie's a cool character because, like Eman said, it's someone that we followed since the first Ant-Man from a little girl. She says it in this film, Dad, my life has never been normal ever since I had a bee trying to kill me in my bedroom. So obviously her trajectory was kind of leading towards this. And Catherine Noon's an actress that I'm a fan of. I remember seeing her back in the day with Paranormal 3, I think it was, and she's in a couple other films. There was that slasher comedy with Vince Vaughn that I thought she was fun in, her playing that version of Vince, and a couple other features. So I think that she was fine in the role. I do feel like some of the more emotional beats didn't entirely work for me. And I don't know if that's just a matter of like an actor's coming to a big franchise 3 movies in and just not having the familiarity with certain actors like Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly and obviously calling, if I found it weird that she was calling Hank and Janet like grandparents. I'm like, when did that happen? When did they become so close? Especially with them being blipped for 5 years. When did that relationship develop? So, but either putting that aside, I thought Cassie was okay. To your point of like getting a Disney Plus, no, and this is where I think Ant-Man fits better. Like I think Ant-Man is a great in a supporting role more so than a leading role, and I think the same could be said about Stature, aka Cassie. I would love to see her obviously implement herself with, obviously Kate Bishop and Patriot, Iron Patriot. I would like to see her in a supporting cast more so than seeing her like in a solo outing or Ant-Man 4 like we're getting with Captain America 4. Like I don't think I'm not saying she doesn't have it. I just don't see it yet.
She doesn't. No.
I would say I would much more see her in a supporting role than like.
I mean, the character doesn't have it. It's not an indictment on the actress. It's just the character is a D-list, like. So yeah, it's not there. It's okay.
Already. You brought up Captain America New World Order, Captain America 4. Remind me to talk about that. I planned on it anyway. I'm gonna tie that into this and kind of with how Disney is being ran right now. We're gonna talk about it at the end though. Staying on you, Elliot.
Yeah.
How did you feel as far as the dialogue, the exposition, as far as them explaining the quantum realm, a universe, a multiverse, a realm, a dimension? I get really annoyed with their explanations and definitions. I think they do not a piss poor job, to be frank. As a diehard comic book fan like myself, I shouldn't be confused. I don't know if confused is the word I want to use, but I for darn sure confident that the average person is probably like, what the hell is going on? What's da 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 da? How did you feel about how they explained everything? Let us know.
On one hand, I feel like it was too much exposition. On another hand, I feel like it was too little. So I'm kind of in the middle because I feel like we at this point in the MCU, 31 films in, 13 years into the making, and then also just within the last 2 years, we've explored the multiverse. We understand the concept of Loki. If you spent time watching that 6 hour, which was, by the way, still my favorite show, that Disney Plus has delivered. And I love that little stinger at the end that we get there, which gets me so excited for season 2. But Loki's already explored variants and understanding all that stuff. I didn't feel like we had to rehash some of those elements that we got in this film. But then going back to my downside of the quantum realm, as Eman talked about earlier, what are the mechanics of this world? Because again, as Ant-Man, or to say Endgame established, he was in the quantum realm for 5 hours. He comes out as 5 years later. So I didn't understand how that wasn't explored more, or again, Hope coming out saying that you evolve. So like, are we gonna, next time we see this crew, are they gonna have abilities and whatnot? They didn't really explore that element. So it's a lot of questions to be said. And I know Marvel's always thinking 10 steps ahead. So I don't know if that's something that they're waiting to explore, as we mentioned on Disney Plus show, or explore in another way of how, we still got the Fantastic Four to explore. So I don't know if that's something that they're gonna maybe explain with Mr. Reed Richards. So again, I'm kind of torn. Like I said, I feel like there was things that were just repetitive, and we already knew this, and Marvel didn't have to dumb it down and rehash a lot of stuff that we knew. But at the same time, I feel like the stuff that they rehash. They should have spent more time on establishing more of the mechanics and the science behind certain elements. So I'm kind of in the middle with that.
Agreed.
How they explain certain things or lack of.
Agreed. 100%. 100%. Same to you, E-Man. Man, I had a bonus question to throw in, but it just slipped my mind. Hopefully it'll come back to me. But yeah, how you feel about the multiverse, realm, dimension, all that stuff, and the explanation or lack thereof?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a fan of like how Marvel has approached any of it. I think Endgame threw even a bigger wrench into how people perceive any of this. I mean, when you time travel and you think like, oh, okay, I went to another time. No, you went to another reality. Wait, but if it's a reality, but I thought this was a dimension, or no, it's not a dimension, it's a different timeline. But I thought it was another realm. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are we doing? And it's very, very confusing. And it takes a little bit too much time to try to process the difference between the two and how easily people just interchange the words, you know, and it's not that easy to follow, you know. And I mean, as a comic book person, like, this is the type of stuff that you actually need to be watered down, because these movies are not made for comic book folks. They're made for general audiences who probably never picked up a comic book. The moment we started doing time travel, that already can like put people's brains in a flummox. So it's kind of like they need to do a better job with it. And I was very concerned because I thought, at least with Loki, they did a better job of, even with Miss Minutes, she put it in a 1930s version cartoon. Hey, this is the timeline. This is how it branches off. And we prune that off. That's easy for us to conceive. It was easier. And we had that repetition, right? Like, you saw the little cartoon, then you saw the actual timeline. You saw the branching. Those things really helped to bake it in. But now we're getting to the point where we're talking about incursions. And I'd still challenge the average person. Do you know what incursions mean? Now, even in the comic books, one way that they kind of explained incursions was a very simple concept. We didn't get to the grandiose stuff with the multiverse. And yes, that was a thing later. But they were just like, yo, this Earth and this Earth, y'all finna crash. What you gonna do? And it was that simple. We didn't deal with the timeline versus the timeline versus the branch and the reality versus, because I'm like, yo, I don't know what this means, you know. And the problem that we have is the fact that, like, we don't have something communicated in the MCU to make us, the audience, care. So yes, they might, you know, within the dialogue, I think it was Hope or maybe it was Janet that said like, oh, you're going to be killing trillions of people. So, like, what does that mean to me? You know, like, as a viewer, I don't know how to relate to that, because thinking of a big number like that you can't quantify that. Trillions of people. You don't even know what that looks like, you know. But go back to like Thanos, you know what that looks like. Half of the universe is gone. Oh, the person I'm standing right next to could be dust. That's something conceivable. It's approachable. Now I can understand that threat, that possibility. You know, and I don't think we're getting that yet, even though they tried when Kang was like explaining his whole plan and saying that, like, you know, my variants did this and this, and they showed two. I'm like, are you talking about two different timelines? Is this two different multiverses?
Bruh.
Is it two different universe? Like, bro, I need Miss Minutes. Where's Miss? Somebody needs to come and dumb this down, because I see all these branches and stuff, and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know what you want us to get from this, and I don't sense the sense of urgency that I know as a comic book fan. I know this is about to hit the fan, but I don't think these movies are really doing a good enough job yet to convey that, and I think that is what's going to help. That's going to hurt audiences from seeing and being excited for the bigger picture down the road, because you knew when Thanos had them Infinity Stones, oh, each stone was a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're getting that sense right now with Kang. Yes, Kang is a problem, but like, do you really understand the complexity and the real detriment of the multiverse dying? Does that register for the average person? I don't know. So I thank you for introducing these terms, but it's a lot of legwork to get these things to make sense and make them digestible. And I don't know if people are going to have the patience, You know, is everyone gonna watch Ant-Man? Is everyone gonna watch the next movie, the Guardians, Marvels, and I don't know.
100%, man. Well said, sir. You took the words right out of my mouth and articulated them perfect. There's a big difference between 1 trillion and 999 trillion. That's that's so you can't just be throwing these terms around. And like you said, man, there's a big difference between a Kang from from a different universe versus a Kang from a different timeline. And they're not explaining that, they're not distinguishing that well. They're just kind of just jumbling it all together. And it's frustrating. I do like the visuals of them showing the timeline and how it breaks off and tying that back into Loki. I love that. I thought that was fire. But excuse me, if I know I'm a bit confused as a diehard comic book fan, I know my brother would be, or the average person. So Marvel is very important. I remember the bonus question I was going to ask you. Do you think? And I mean, I don't know a way to fix this because there's never been anything like the MCU before, but I don't think there is right now in Marvel Studios like a master writer, somebody that just sits at the top to make sure that everything is. I don't know. He may be stretched too thin for that.
I mean, I'm just saying that's his role.
Okay.
Like at the end of the day, everything still goes through him. And even a lot of the executive producers are like, Kevin's the one that knows where this is going. That's like true. he'll give them, delegate to like the Nate Moores, Victoria Alonso's, and Esposito's and stuff like that. But Kevin Feige's got the master plan.
I think he should hire. Somebody. What is it? What was the writers for Infinity War Endgame? McFeely, and I forgot the other guy.
Christopher McFeely.
Yeah. I don't know. Just somebody. Every time a script comes in, or are they planning the next phase? Hey, does this make sense from what happened 7 years ago? Are there any plot holes? Are we missing anything here? Because y'all made some good points. I mean, Janet got powers at the end of part 2 that she didn't use in this film.
Yeah,
but Hank got powers as well, and so so yeah, you watching this, guys? Let us know in the chat, the comment section, what you think. Are you confused, or do you have a good idea of what's going on? But Elliot, let me come to you for your favorite character in the film. I know you love this character to death. I think you was looking forward to him more than Kane, and that's Mr. Darren right here. Mr. M.O.D.O.K. Let me see the faces they make. How did you?
My goodness. I
had to mess with you because of what you texted me or DM me yesterday. I got a smile on my face. But Elliot, how did you feel about M.O.D.O.K? The mechanical organism designed only to kill. And as Paul Rudd said, it's actually M.O.D.O.K or whatever. But how did you feel about Mr. Corey Stoll coming back to fulfill this role, sir? How did you feel?
So look, to be fair, I understand, as you have on the screen now, M.O.D.O.K is a pretty hard. There's certain, and that's the thing about comic book adaptations to the big screen or whatnot, is when you have your cartoonists and things in certain mediums look a little bit more visually pleasing to when you see it in live action. So I think it is pretty. I don't want to say it's impossible, but it is a hard task to bring such an obscure, wild, weird character to a live action format. So I'll give them a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, but as they established, they should have just left that man's mask on the entire film, because when that mask came up, I know there's probably no public photos of who's behind the mask. As you just alluded to, it is Darren Cross, who was tying into the first Ant-Man. Oh, man, it was visually distracting to see him without that mask on. And also just how they used M.O.D.O.K and just knowing, I'm not saying I'm a M.O.D.O.K expert, but whenever I saw him in the cartoons or saw him appear in a comic book run, he is a killing machine. He's a menacing, not I want to say Avenger level threat, but he's had his runs with the Avengers. He's no one to laugh at. And they made him a joke. His whole presence in this film was meant to be Darren or baby feet, the Deadpool references and like his whole thing. And I've seen some people apparently like M.O.D.O.K, which he's strong, but I wouldn't go as far as say I hated the character, but the same way I felt how Marvel handled the introduction to the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, where it was just meant for a joke. That's the same way I felt about M.O.D.O.K, that he was just only there to serve the purpose as a joke, only have that moment at the end of not being a dick anymore. And now I'm a hero. I can go out and Avenger. His whole thing was a joke. And yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. I just did not like it at all.
I can't wait to say how I feel. Real quick though, since you brought up the Mandarin, which one do you prefer more, the Iron Man 3 Mandarin or M.O.D.O.K?
Oh, the Ben Kingsley. Well, now that we're knowing that we're getting more of him, and he's an actor, and apparently he's going to be in the Wonder Man series as an actor. I guess the long game is going to probably make me look back at it. I don't want to say appreciate it, but just understand what they're going for. So I'll go Trent, or was his name Trent? The actor, Trevor, the actor. I'll go that over what they did with M.O.D.O.K, because M.O.D.O.K is, in my opinion, should have been handled a lot better.
I got you. Eman, how did you feel about your second favorite character in the movie M.O.D.O.K? How did you feel?
Yeah, I hated it. It was trash. No, it was trash. And here's the thing: I'm totally here for the comedic side of M.O.D.O.K. And again, I mean, I'm just gonna put my critic hat on. There was I think it was a Hulu series or something like that for M.O.D.O.K.
Like that, yeah.
But like when you watch those type of things, the character is not goofy. The character is not dumb. It's the situations around the character that are humorous, right? So like that's what was missing here. The comedy doesn't work because we shouldn't be laughing with M.O.D.O.K, for example. We should be laughing at him at some degree. But here's the thing: even in the comics, he's not like a funny character. He's a threat. He is someone that's like, oh no, it's M.O.D.O.K. We gotta like get the crew together to stop him. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, they made a choice to lean into the humor, and once again, they lean too heavy. And the problem I have with it, and this is something that I don't think people are going to always catch. Yes, you might find M.O.D.O.K's scenes funny. I'm not gonna lie. I laughed at a couple when they was like, Darren, after the first two, it was funny. Third, fourth, fifth, I was like, all right, man, y'all can chill with that. I laughed at the baby hand, on the face. I thought that was funny, But when I started to actually think about what did this actually do for the movie, I was like, oh, this was a huge distraction, because there was a whole battle going on where you had a multi-dimensional threat of Kang just about to take over literally, I don't know, all the timelines. And we sitting here taking a break to do a dick joke.
Say goodbye to, yeah.
And I'm like, is this a cultural thing? Because I'm sitting here like, I'm not here for this. Like, what are we doing? And this is kind of where, yes, it might be funny, but at what cost? Right? This is kind of similar to my criticism that I had for Black Adam. Yes, we could take a little joke here and there, in casual conversation. But when you take a break from the story just to go out of your way to make a whole joke, why should I care about the stakes? Where's the sense of urgency? I thought we was in the middle of a war, and Cassie, you sitting here talking about like trying to give him some self-help tips or whatever. Like, this is a miss. This is a miss. This is everything. I would say almost 60 to 70% of M.O.D.O.K scenes should have been deleted scenes. And those would have been funny little things to watch on Disney Plus as bonus scenes. They never should have been in the actual movie. When he was talking and Kang was like, shut up. Oh, I was like, okay, like, here we go. But like everything else with him sacrificing himself and all, I'm like, y'all just wasted this character. Like it was a complete waste of time. It was a distraction from the actual purpose of the movie. And I was actually glad that they killed him. I was like, great, don't bring him back. If y'all gonna do this, don't do that.
Oh, okay. I got well said, man. Y'all, that boy is passionate, man. I feel you. So this is how I feel about M.O.D.O.K. I'm not a M.O.D.O.K expert, but I always thought the character was a bit interesting. Never was turned off by him. When I found out that he was in this movie, it piqued my interest. When I found out that Corey Stoll was fulfilling the role of the character, I got even more interested. I was like, wow, this makes sense. This is a perfect follow-up. He was sent to the quantum realm at the end of the first Ant-Man film. He's popping up in the third. That's dope. And even when I saw him in the trailer, the second one, I did get excited. So seeing him in this movie, during the first and second act, or just his introduction into the film, I actually did like it a lot. I was laughing. I did find the Darren, what happened? Like you said, Eman, I laughed too. I laughed both times I saw the film. I thought it was hilarious. And even I mean, I like this design right here with the blasters, with the plasma cutters. I thought that was all cool. It looked intimidating. It looked like he lost his mind, like he would F somebody up if they looked at him the wrong way. Even when they lifted up the mask and the stretched face, yes, it looked ridiculous. It looked horrible, but I was still able to accept it because this looks horrible. And so, yeah, the first two acts, his introduction, I actually loved him in the film. However, like you guys said, in the third act, I hated it. I wanted to throw fruit at the screen. It was so stupid and bad. Like I just don't understand. Marvel, I'm gonna clip this part of this review. Marvel, please listen to me. I love you guys. I love the movies. I love all the jokes and the silliness and the goofiness and all the quips that you have. However, there is a time and there is a place for it. Leave all that silly stuff in the first and second act when we're trying to figure out what's going on. Do not have all this dumb, goofy stuff during the final battle, during the showdown, during the war, during the rebellion. It cuts the tension. Seriously, this was a wasted character. Like, why did y'all do this? And then, like, Eman, you're happy that they killed him. I'm upset because this is just a character as we get more and more into the MCU, I wanted to see more of. But we don't get to see him anymore because they always are killing people. They kill everybody in the MCU. I don't like it. Another thing is his acronym, mechanical organism designed only for killing. Did he kill anybody in this movie? I don't think so.
Yeah, when
he did kill a couple.
Yeah, when he came in as the hunter
and
they were running from him, he destroyed the ships and he killed.
The people were just kind of exploding. That's why you didn't see.
Okay.
Yeah. But he was murking some folks.
It didn't have that impact. I mean, if he's a killing machine, let me see you with a maniacal laugh, torturing somebody, sawing their leg off, and you enjoying it or something. And Cassie doesn't have that much field or fighting experience to me, but it just seemed like she was always able to get away this easily from M.O.D.O.K, and that bugged the hell out of me. And so I don't know. I hated M.O.D.O.K. I liked him in the first and second act. I hated him in the third act. It really bothered me. He hyped up Kang so much, of course, that we're going to be talking about in a second, but it didn't deliver. You saying that he created this weapon, and just because Cassie said, hey, you don't have to do this anymore, you don't have to be a dick, he just wants to change his mind and turn over to the good side like that on a whim. Come on, like that is so cheap to me. Like,
can I expound on that?
Sure, go ahead.
Because it's not only just that, and this was, I think I told you this when we actually went to see it. It bothered me that this whole time while they're infiltrating Kang's, fortress and stuff like that, all it took was a motivational speech from Cassie.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me the whole time y'all could have actually, I don't know, led a revolt, a rebellion or something. All y'all needed was a pep talk from Cassie.
Somebody you didn't
That was
know.
it.
Yeah.
See, because I was like, what? Okay, it'd be different if it was like Kang had some shields or some weapons and they infiltrated and they like weakened it and they were like, okay, now's the time. Yeah. And okay, that would make
the past
more
30
sense.
years. Here's our chance. We finally have a window.
So now y'all come just because this little kid come up and say, hey, y'all want to go start a rebellion? Y'all want to riot? Like, horrible. Now's the time?
Horrible.
Bad writing.
Horrible. And so, yeah, man, you took the words out of my mouth. But with M.O.D.O.K, yeah, that was an ultimate failure. The way he went out and I get to go out as an Avenger. Like, I don't want to see all this silly, stupid stuff during the final act where things are supposed to be taken seriously. Stop doing that, Marvel, please.
And listen, there's a way to do it. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about Thor and Captain America and Infinity War, the beard moment.
Yes.
I found that to be well woven in. Yes. In game, I'll take the big one, you take the other one. There's a way to do it.
Look at how long. That's a perfect example. Because one, it was organic, right? And it was earned because they hadn't seen each other. And we knew this was like, it was like an inside joke on top of an inside joke. It was the first time Steve ever met Groot. He don't know what Groot is. Groot said, I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers. Right. That was hilarious for anybody who's watched Captain America, knowing how he
Exactly.
doesn't get humor. See, we're laughing at him, not with him. He's not being goofy. He's being genuine. And it was short. You're talking about something that lasted 5 seconds.
Yes.
If that. They didn't linger and be like, no, I'm Steve. Oh, you're Groot. Oh, okay, I'm Steve, and that's Thor. You didn't see them drag it out. And I keep trying to tell people, like, there is an art when it comes to comedy. Timing matters. Not only when to start the joke, but when to stop, when to pull out, when to pull back. And this movie did not know when to do that.
No,
it had a good start here and there, but just like Taika Waititi and Thor: Love and Thunder, nobody knew how to reel Peyton in. Somebody, Kevin Feige, somebody should have been like, yo, that's funny, but stop. Take that out.
Yeah, and we're here. I mean, all of this is in the third act, which is, I mean, I enjoyed the film, but I kind of despise the third act of this movie. One, because of they ruined it with M.O.D.O.K. Two, you made the great example with the comedy. Also, like, oh, I have hoes. Like the little squirmy, like, why are you like that was
a straight Disney move.
God. I was like, blah. Or when Cassie finally got big, they're like, oh, you're big, I'm big, I'm hungry. That's gonna
that was
like
a call back to Civil War.
Stop. No. Now it worked in Endgame where Tony Stark hugged Peter. One, because we love those characters 10 times more than we do these. You know, Spider-Man was like Cassie and Scott and or father and daughter, and not Toby, but Tom and Iron Man is like, you know, father and son. I don't know. It worked in Endgame and for that hug moment when they was on the battlefield, but it just didn't work for me. And this not Kang Dynasty, goodness, I can't wait for that, in Quantumania or whatever. So Marvel,
well, the buildup wasn't there, right? Like, I mean, Cassie was always just like right there, you know, and like the whole separation, it's not like he saw her almost die. It's not like he's, you know, there was something where the reason why that Tony Stark situation worked is because we saw Spider-Man gone. We felt his pain. We were there to empathize with him. Not to mention, we've also been on that journey with those two bonding. So we understood we were Tony, right? So when Spider-Man came back, we were also Tony, like, that's what it would feel like to get a loved one back. You know, we didn't have that with Cassie and Scott, because it was like, Cassie's down the hall. Like,
right. We actually saw, he actually saw Peter dust and like out of his arms. You know, that's like,
now it'd be different if like Kang had like zapped her and she disappeared and maybe she went to jail, but he didn't know that. Right. You know,
right.
Those things would have been different, but it just wasn't built up right.
So again, Marvel, keep the jokes. Just you gotta chill out with them when it's serious moments. When we're fighting, I want to feel like the heroes are gonna die. I want to feel like they're in real peril. I want to feel like, man, are they gonna get out of this? But when you making all these jokes, I'm just like, okay, this is Happy Meal time, and it really clocks me out, you know. But man, we not here to talk about that anymore. Let's talk about our favorite character in the whole movie. He stole the show. This guy reigns supreme. We got the shirts on. Eman is happy over there. We're talking about our boy Jonathan Majors, Kang, the one who remains, Kang the Conqueror, all that good stuff. I think it's safe to say that he was our favorite part of the whole movie. E-Man, starting with you, how did you feel about Jonathan Majors fulfilling the role of Kang the Conqueror?
Now, brother, you was there with me. You heard me. You heard me. Look, when I go to that first movie, I am not a critic. I am there as a fan. I'm screaming. I'm yelling. I'm in there. This is all I wanted. First of all, I peeped Jonathan Majors in Last Black Man in San Francisco. Right there, I was like, oh, this guy can act. He got some talent. Then you got Lovecraft Country, and then you got Five Bloods and all these other things he's doing. And I'm like, the moment he was cast in this role, I was like, he's going to crush it, because people don't understand the amount of range that he has. So when we saw him as like, you know, He Who Remains, I was like, oh, if you like this eccentric version, it ain't nothing for him to be like that, you know, more menacing, you know, forceful type of figure that Kang is in the comics. So the fact that this guy came on screen with a presence and he was captivating. I'm sorry, but like every time he was on scene, my eyes are glued on him, because I'm like, what's going through this character's mind? what is actually driving him? What is he going to do next? These are all things that, like, you know, and then of course, like when he flexes his power, you know, like when he's flicking M.O.D.O.K here or there, or pimp smacking the Wasp in the air or doing whatever, I'm like, yo, this dude is a force. He is a power not to be reckoned with. You know what I'm saying? And like, this is kind of like what you need to elevate the movie and the lead protagonist, the main characters, right? Like, you always have the heroes going against these villains or the antagonists to hopefully have the hero step up a notch. You know, now I don't know if I could say that happened with Scott, but at the same time, this definitely elevated, since you talked about this being like more of a setup movie earlier on, this was a great setup for Kang. Like, now people know Kang is a problem. And even if it's not this version of Kang, any Kang is going to be a problem. And I thought that they did establish that. I will have one critique, though. One critique I had was the fact that I think they tried to humanize him a little bit too much and not in the best way. So minor spoiler alert, in the comics, Kang's weakness is love. It's the fact that, you know, I mean, I know it's V-Day, well, as we're recording this, you know, but like this man, like, look, his weakness is a woman. You know, I ain't gonna say who it is, but it is a woman. And that is like literally the one thing that like actually makes him more human than just psycho godlike, you know, villain. But what I didn't care for here was the fact that I felt like they compromised his character a little bit. To me, it did not make sense that you're talking about a guy who has the most advanced technology. Why? Because he's literally traveled the multiverse, conquered it, been to the end of time, which means ain't no more tech at the end of time. It's done. He's seen, you know, Mach 1000. It's done. And he don't know how to figure out pin particles. He does, like that right there. I was like, I feel like y'all are compromising this character just for the sake of the story, because it doesn't make sense to have him actually need anything technology-wise from anyone else. He's a master of time. Why didn't he study pin particles in the, I don't know, 25th century or the 30th century or the 60th century, where he's traveled back and forth? So that part I'm not too happy with. It might go over people's heads. People might not care. That's fine. But for me, if this is going to be his introduction, I was hoping that it would have been a little bit stronger in terms of like, I don't see how anyone's going to beat him. But the fact that they got him beat with like a couple ants, you know, or they got him flustered and, you know, he's like down to his machines and he's just fighting or whatever, that to me kind of felt like a little watered down. But outside of that, fantastic performance from Jonathan Majors. Great. I mean, when this man was freezing people, throwing people left and right, throwing up his force field and everything, that was everything. Because now I do believe that he is in the conversation of being in the top 2 Marvel villains next to Thanos. Now, where he's going to land, I don't know. It depends on how they write him later on. But right now, Kang is that guy.
Love it. Love it. Elia, how you feeling?
Yeah, Kang, man. Jonathan Majors, like Eman said, is one of those actors that when you first meet him, you see the talent and the potential. And now that his opportunities have been given to him, he's just taking so much advantage of it. And this is the year of Jonathan Majors with this, and obviously what we got with Creed next month. And I think he has a couple more products on the horizon this year. So I thought he delivered in the performance wise, but from visually speaking, the costume was on point. The visual standpoint of how he uses powers was on point. But similar to what Eman kind of mentioned, as far as what it boils down to me, as far as a criticism I do have with Kang is, and this is just an MCU thing that I guess I just have to get over at this point, the power scaling is just all over the place with Marvel villains and heroes. And my biggest issue going into this film was just knowing that they're probably going to have to level him down to get on Ant-Man's level. And I did see that happen quite a few times. From, like Eman even mentioned, the compassionate nature. I don't know why he didn't just kill Janet the moment he saw her when he got his the core to his mechanics. I don't know why he kept her alive the whole time. I did not get that element at all. If they were going with romantic, like you just mentioned, the love, I know that's not his love interest, but if they would have went that route, sure that would have made sense that he had that kind of compassion to him, but I don't understand where that came from, especially after what she did to him, trapping him there. And then every time he saw Ant-Man and the Wasp and Cassie, I don't understand why he gave them remorse after they didn't follow through. I don't know why he was just, again, I know why, because it's the movie and you have to, have these characters survive and have plot armor, but it just they didn't wove it in enough to me, or flatten out enough, or develop it enough to make me understand why are these people still alive around Kang. So I do feel like there was some writing issues that I have with the character. And again, like you mentioned, Eman, this man is a super intelligent, beyond this comprehension of understanding of quantum technology and any technology. The fact that we saw Janet literally hotwire the mechanics at some point when she was like hours to him not knowing, he spent 30 years not knowing how to get himself out of this, didn't add up to me. So again, nothing against Jonathan Majors, but it does make me a little bit nervous when it comes to knowing that Jeff Loveless, who wrote this film, is also the one that's writing Avengers Kang Dynasty. And to your point earlier, Brandon, about like having that overarching writers, I think that's what Marvel's trying to do now with Michael Walden, who did Loki, he did Doctor Strange, and I think he is the writer for Secret Wars. They're trying to make that, they're trying to assemble that team to have that continuity. But so far, both Michael, I love Loki, a little iffy on some of the elements of Multiverse and Doctor Strange. Same with Jeff Loveless. There's some things I like that he built with Kang in this particular mythology, but it also makes me a little bit nervous on how he's going to be handling Kang with Kang Dynasty. So again, Kang was awesome, but that writing was a little bit lacking at points.
Already. Yeah, I kind of agree with most of you. Kang was amazing. He was the best part of this film. There was a section I'll talk about that I didn't like. It's kind of echoing what you guys had to say. But from everything about him, man, I love the makeup on his face with the scarring. I love the blue contacts with the blue visor coming down. Just him kind of walking with his hands like this. I mean, he was just flicking a wrist and tossing them like what they are, ants. They're insects. And so I love that. Even freezing them in time. Like I think towards the end, somebody threw a spear and he just like froze it like he had the force or something like that, exactly from like what he's doing to the Avengers right here in this clip I've been playing. And if you guys are unfamiliar with this is a few Kang episodes in the Disney Plus show. Well, it's on Disney Plus. It's Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes. It's fantastic. I'm still mad that canceled that show. But he was great. He was great. I really loved it too when he had Scott and Cassie in the cells. And he was just using his powers to twist them and contort their bodies. I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy is crazy. And like Eman said, like when we watched it the first time, he was like the loudest in the theater, expressing his joy for the amount of destruction he was causing. Even when he smashed M.O.D.O.K against the wall, I did like that. Before I get to my con on Kang, I want to ask y'all this. Would you have liked it more if we did not see Kang in this movie at all and he was introduced further in the MCU? Then maybe M.O.D.O.K was the main villain for Quantumania, but it was no jokes. It was serious. It wasn't wasted. Is that something that y'all would have liked more, or are you happy with what we got for the most part? Eman, start with you first.
I think, and just kind of thinking back on this now, I'm gonna try and save Marvel. I'm gonna try and save Marvel and whip up a theory video coming soon about how they could make a better Kang. But I wish that they hadn't put this version of him in this movie, because this is the more recognizable version. This is the more canonical version of him. Obviously, there are multiple versions of Kang. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But this is like Kang Prime, with the purple and the green and the cape and all that. I wish they would have used a different version, like a different variant of him that might not have been as bad, but it would have given us a taste of how progressively bad he can get down the line. And just kind of tie that back into what He Who Remains said in Loki, like, yo, like, you think I'm bad, wait till you meet my variants, And I think that would have been a better stepping stone for this. And in a sense, even though, and I hate to compare it to the two, but in a sense, Kang was kind of wasted in this movie because Kang is better than this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Kang is better than an Ant-Man villain. You know what I mean? Like Kang is a villain that, like, yeah, you do need the Avengers to step up and deal with that. You know, if it wasn't for Kang, and this is kind of the weird thing, if it wasn't for him, this movie would have failed. This movie would have been terrible. If you mean M.O.D.O.K was the main thing, I would have walked out. I probably wouldn't have gone for that. For M.O.D.O.K, him, Darren? No. So yes, I mean it was nice to have him. Could they have done a better progressive step with it? Yes. But I think they overplayed their card a little bit, which Marvel tends to do as well.
Oh, I think you're muted, Brandon.
I'm my fault. I'm up here looking at you like, bruh, I passed you the mic, say something, and you can't even hear me. My bad, Elliot. Same question. My fault. Go ahead on commentary on that.
Yeah, no, I think this is the thing with Marvel at this point, 30-something films in that they look at these certain characters that need a boost. And I think of Ant-Man, I think of Doctor Strange, I think of even Captain Marvel, that they have to have some type of Avengers threat level to really boost up their relevance in today's MCU's timeline. So I think that's when they looked at Ant-Man 3, they're like, man, first off, and again, I'm not an Ant-Man expert, but I know he doesn't have the best rogues gallery. So sometimes you do have to have someone like a Kang be introduced into his film, and like Eman said, if you do remove him, then you're left with that abysmal, horrible M.O.D.O.K. So I do think he definitely boosts this film on that narrative, and I. Of course, you could have saw him be introduced, and that's the cool thing and the amazing thing about Kang is we can throw him into an Ant-Man and have some shortcomings there, but then we can see him in Loki season 2 and be like, and that it's going to be such an interesting ride to be like, oh, which was your favorite Kang? Was it the Kang and this, that, and the other? So it is that element of like, I'm happy that they used him here, but also wish that they maybe would have given him the respect that I think he deserved. But unfortunately, when you are in this Ant-Man world, you're going to have to be shrunken down, all pun intended, to kind of fit within their narrative. So again, I think he definitely makes this film a lot better, more entertaining. He brings a whole nother side of Ant-Man. Like his presence in this movie, if you think about the first two Ant-Mans and where they place in the funny, goofy kind of, in all intents and purposes, kind of forgettable films, he boosted this film's seriousness in this movie. Like there were the jokes, but whenever he was on screen, there was really no joking matters. You felt his presence, the way he spoke with like, there was this moment of like when he's talking to Scott, there's no rush. There's like, he is the master of time. So it's just, you feel the weight, you feel the words. So again, this is his praise to Jonathan Majors, but I do think that having his inclusion makes this film just, the good parts of the film is all due to Kang.
I think just one thing, like just imagine if they put Thanos in an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like, is the movie going to be better? Absolutely, because you know Thanos is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But if Ant-Man defeats Thanos, like,
makes you look at him
now you're kind of compromising Thanos.
Yep.
And that's a problem. Now, like when I talk about like having that progressive type of thing, it's kind of like what they did with Guardians in the first one, by having Ronan. Like, okay, like it's not Thanos, but it's like one of his henchmen, or maybe if you did something with the Black Order, the Black Order was a problem in in Infinity War on their own. And if you find out later on, like, oh, this threat is really just the face of something bigger down the road, that gives a lot better anticipation for what's to come, which is what the MCU tries to do. It's like, yes, this movie is great, but keep watching for more. And this is where I'm kind of like, man, and here's the thing. And again, this goes back to the writing. They said that this version of Kang was the worst. This version of Kang was so bad that he got exiled. The writing is telling you that this is technically as bad as it gets with Kang. And that's where my disappointment comes in, because I'm like, so then we're just doing a lot of lateral moves with other Kangs if we get them later. Because if this Kang is so bad that the other Kangs don't like him, I mean, what are we doing?
Well, there has to be more. Yeah, I think he's dead or alive.
Oh, I think he's alive.
Yeah, Elliot.
The king in this film.
Yeah.
From all accounts, I thought that he was. I mean, you can imagine he could find some way because he was just put into the core. But I thought that they killed him.
Okay.
From my understanding. But again, we know Marvel.
Right.
But yeah.
Well said. My thing about what I did like about Kang is the whole exposition dump that we got with Janet when she was explaining to Hank and Hope, how he had like a neural link to his ship, and when she touched it, she saw all of it. I love that whole sequence.
Yeah,
I saw some other reviews like people were complaining saying it was too much exposition, but I thought that was actually one of the that was right. That was one of the better parts of this. I even like when she was like, "Who is Kang?" and he was like you said, the way he was talking to Antman, like he was just so calm. The way he was talking to Janet, just like, Janet, we can leave right now.
Yeah.
But what's gonna happen? He's like, I will win, and then he like rolls to glory. I was like, oh yes, and he got his suit, and that was amazing. I like that. So great job, Marvel. Great job, Jonathan. While as amazing as Kang was in this film, his army, his armada, his empire was not. It was extremely weak and very, very disappointing. Again, this goes to the third act. Wow. First of all, bro, when you're trying to put your ship in reverse, you got Ant-Man coming through big, just able to backfist your entire like fleet. That was weak as hell to me. Like, I've been here for so long and I've built up this empire, but this one guy is able to take down your whole. Because then what I'm thinking is, okay, even if y'all are outside of the quantum realm, all Ant-Man got to do is get big and knock y'all down like some flies. Like,
that's what I'm talking about.
That's not good, right
this is
there.
What I'm talking about.
That's pretty whack.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, they had to compromise Kang for the sake of this movie, but that's the problem that you have by putting him in this movie at all.
Yeah, man.
Like, because what you gonna do? Have Ant-Man lose? If Marvel was mature and would grow up, they should have had him lose, because that's fine. It's okay. Yeah. That lets us know he's a real problem.
And you know what would have been perfect, bro? When we thought we won, but when he was walking down the street at the end, he was like, wait a minute, what did I do? Did everybody die? And just have Kang in the back laughing like, y'all fell for my plan, dumbass. And he's,
I thought we was going to see like the face of Kang on a window somewhere, kind of a la Loki, and be like, everything looks normal, but no, you came back to another timeline or something crazy like that. But
yeah,
Marvel,
man.
I don't know. Marvel doesn't have the guts.
Yeah, that would have been better. And so, yeah, Kang was great, but his army was weak as hell. However, you've been ripping the Kang stomp and all that. That was nice. His suit was the ants. I mean,
that was such a plot device.
I like
the ants, we're just gonna have super.
It was so
ants.
Convenient. It was just so convenient. The time dilation and they grew 1,000 years in a second, and then just end up taking them out. And now I'm thinking of M.O.D.O.K coming through.
See, and I told you this when we were watching it. I didn't like that action sequence because we've seen it before. Like when Scott was literally the one guy versus a whole army, and then all of a sudden on your left, all the people come through, and then again on your left again. Gotcha. Like come on, y'all couldn't find no other way. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
it felt repetitive to me.
I ain't mad at you. But I was frustrated when he was just sitting there on the driver's seat, not doing anything. Like, take him down. No, you get out there and blast him yourself, because this is not working. He just destroyed your whole chance of getting out of here. Broke through your blue shield. They were just far too easy. Now, when he actually got down there and was blasting folks and fighting them, that was cool. But I wanted more of that, and we didn't get it, unfortunately. So.
And this is something else to think about. You mean to say that in all these multiverses, all these Avengers he's taken down Thor, and y'all couldn't deal with a big old ant guy?
Right. That don't make no sense. Good point.
You're compromising yourself.
Marvel, pay attention. Let's iron these wrinkles out. Jimmy Woo made a brief appearance at the beginning, like we talked about. No Michael Pena. Besides the mid and the post-credit scenes, what did I leave out that we still need to talk about that's important? Please help me out. I'm looking at my notes. I'm looking at IMDb to make sure we covered all the characters. Anything besides the credit scenes that we haven't mentioned that you guys want to get off your chest?
I mean, at the end of the day, I do appreciate a good hand-to-hand fight, but I just still can't wrap my mind around just seeing Ant-Man going toe-to-toe with a Kang. And just in the visual of seeing Kang being tossed around by ants still kind of rubs me the wrong way. Because like Eman said, you would imagine throughout. And again, I guess that's the right end fix is that version, maybe possibly Eman, he hasn't come across in the multiverses of all the stuff he's conquered. He hasn't come across this version of the 616 because that's the uniqueness of the 616 is that these Avengers are a little bit more battle tested or plot armor. But again, it was just weird to see Kang being initially defeated by ants and then going fist to fist with Paul Rudd's Scott.
That is true. I made a comment of like when they first went to the quantum realm, the laboratory was destroyed. But when they got out of the quantum realm, it looked like Cassie's computer system was still up and running. And she was just able to enter in the password and open it again. But that may be a little bit too nitpicky. I don't know what you guys think. But anyway, we had fun with that. Even though it may seem like we hated this film, I don't think that's the case. We just, we had our criticisms and we wanted to be the best that it possibly can be. And we're going to voice our opinions on that. But Eman has said, man, B, there are some things that is actually better than the movie. It shouldn't be that way. But it is this post-credit scene, man, that's pretty amazing. We got the Council of the Kangs. And while I am not a M.O.D.O.K expert or an Ant-Man expert, I am neither a Kang expert. I know a little bit, but I'm gonna pass this to you, Eman. This guy was going crazy geek mode. I loved it during this scene right here where we got the Council of the Kangs in the mid-credit scene. I don't even remember the names, but there was a lot of them. At first, I was like, no, it was 100. But when I saw the second time, I was like, no, like thousands. It was a lot of them in there. Yeah. And they was like, hey, the one that we banished is dead. I was like, are you sure about that? Yes, I wouldn't have called you guys if I wasn't sure. So passing it to you, Eman, how did you feel about the Council of the Kangs for the mid-credit scene for this film, sir?
So I absolutely loved it. First and foremost, it's Black History Month, and we got Rama Tut, aka We Was Kangs, and I loved it because I cannot wait. That scene right there is literally what they replicated, and I thought it was just so good because just the whole, and this kind of adds to the complexity of Kang. Why is there even a council at all? There's a council because every time Kang goes back into time, he creates another variant of himself. Every single time, and he's never satisfied. He's always going back into time or forward in time, and every time he does that, another Kang pops up in another way, shape, form, or whatever. So at some point they have to make a council. They have to come together. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't. But I do think that this was what excited me about this, not only because of the representation, but also because of the possibilities. I mean, you just got a quick taste, maybe with 3-4 different Kangs of Jonathan Majors' range. My man literally had different voices for different Kangs. And that right there, I was like, I can't wait till you put this into action. I can't wait till we run into Rama Tut in his own movie, or, Immortus, who's looking like one of them, the Last Dragon villains or something, from a Bruce Lee movie, or Little Big China or something like that. He just looked like a great character, and I loved it that they adapted him. But the potential with all of this is what is definitely more exciting. And that's why I was saying it's sad that this post-credit scene had me more invigorated than the movie, because when we look at some of the greatest MCU movies, we're not thinking or talking about the post-credit scene as much as we're talking about the movie itself. You're not talking about the post-credit scene in Iron Man. You're not talking about the post-credit scene in Winter Soldier. You're not talking about the post-credit scene in Infinity War, for that matter. Like, it doesn't matter. The better the movie, the post-credit scene is just bonus. And in this case, the post-credit scenes was like way more exciting. Like, for me, I'm like, I like the fact that this now connects more to Loki. it not only gets me excited for Loki season 2, but it makes more sense for Loki season 1. Because when you go back and rewatch the last episode, and Nathaniel Richards, aka He Who Remains, says, I ended the multiverse war. Now I'm like, oh, this is what he meant. He banished all of these Kangs somewhere, and now that's where they're at. And they made a council. It's almost like how when Loki met all of his variants in the void, because they were just banished there. So now something similar happened with Kang. And now I'm like, okay, fill in the pieces. I can't wait for Loki season 2 to help me fill in the pieces. Where are they? What are they planning? What are they going to do now? What was so bad about the Kang we just saw that these Kangs had to gang up against them? Because Kang in the movie said that, or I think Janet had said that, like, not just that they exiled him, but they sabotaged his ship. So it's not like they was like, oh, you're just, we overpowered you. They somehow tricked him. So I'm wondering, like, wait a minute, was this Kang conquering all the other Kangs? Like, so many more questions are coming up now, and I'm hoping and waiting for them to answer these things. So yeah, for me, this gave me way more to chew on than the movie itself, and I'm here for it.
Right on. Elliot, how did you feel about the mid-credit scene, the Council of Kings, sir?
I mean, how do you follow that up, man? No, the excitement, enthusiasm I share with Eman there. As you just put up on the screen, yeah, ripped right out of the comic book pages, and I couldn't have said it better myself. The range on this man, Jonathan Majors, just knowing, and as an actor, I would imagine, obviously, if Kevin Feige and the power that be at Disney call you up and say, hey, we got an opportunity for you to work in this world, we would love for you to do this, there's excitement. Oh, I got a job, number one, right? And number two, I got this opportunity to put myself out there more, be a household name. But then as an artist, you want to be able to do something different, right? Because we're now, again, comic book movies have been around since, obviously big Superman movie in the 70s, was a drought in the 80s and 90s, and now we're in this renaissance of comic book movies. Every actor seems to be in comic book movies nowadays just to kind of get, whether it's their kids or just to get that paycheck. But then for someone, I feel like Jonathan Majors is such an actor's actor. He wants to challenge himself. And there's no other challenge than playing multiple versions of yourself. True. And I've seen multiple interviews, and I know you guys got the chance to talk to him on the red carpet, where he kind of compares being in this Marvel Cinematic Universe to being in a stage play. Every night you don't want to bring the same level of performance to every time you're on Broadway. You want to bring something new and fresh to the table. And that's what I see him doing with this opportunity to play all these different variant versions of himself. And it's just so invigorating, so challenging, so fresh, and so unique to be able to play different versions of yourself every time you see this character. So that to me is just so fun to be able to see this with this actor, to see him in this opportunity to be able to show his range and become that household name that he deserves to be. And that first mid-credit scene was just so awesome to see that, and to see, Immortus, and seeing Ramatat, which hopefully we get to see, if that Moon Knight season 2 comes about, maybe we get that version of Kang, and that's the beauty. He could be anywhere in the MCU. You never know. And we'll talk about the second one here in a second. But that first one to me was, I'm trying to think of the last time I was just loving a mid-credit scene. It's been a while. I'll be honest with you all. This was one of the better post-credit scenes that we've seen in a long time, and it held weight to what is to come, and that is Jonathan Majors coming in MCU in a very major way. So I love that first post-credit scene.
Me too. I echo both of your sentiments. I am happy, excited, and scared at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel like we sometimes haven't even scratched the surface of the MCU. When we get scenes like this, and I'm thinking about everything Kang is gonna mess up. We know Ultron is gonna be coming back, Gravitron, and we haven't even got to the X-Men, and like this is just so much. Yeah. Like this is a lot. This is a lot, and it's good. We have stories to tell for decades. Before any reboot can be considered. So y'all, yeah, like you said, Elliot, this is one of the best mid-credit scenes, post-credit scenes I've seen in quite some time from the MCU.
And they're coming for the 616. They are coming.
And staying on you, Elliot, how did you feel about the post-credit scene, man? We usually get a serious scene and a joke, but we got 2 serious ones. This one seems like the follow-up to Loki season 2, but they are in the 19th century. I forgot the name that they had up there. If one of y'all remember, exactly who Kang was, but Loki was like, there he is. And Owen Wilson's character was like, oh my gosh, you made him seem like he's just some crazy wild threat. And he was like, he is.
Yeah.
So Elliot, man, how'd you feel about the post-credit scene, them being in the 19th century, where a Kang variant on stage? What does that mean as well?
Yeah, and I think his name was Victor Timely, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's close.
And as I mentioned, and I'll mention it again, my favorite thing from the MCU out of Phase 4, as far as MCU shows, has been Loki. I love that series top to bottom. So, and we haven't, man, I can't think of the last time we gotten and I would imagine this is literally straight out of Loki season 2. This is a scene that we got from, and I can't think of the last time Marvel has done one of those things. Obviously, they did it with, was it the first Ant-Man that they did a scene out of Civil War with Bucky and Sam and Steve capturing Bucky? Anyway, I love when they do that. It just sets the tone, it sets the mood, it leads you with Marvel. The beauty of cinematic universe is it leads one project leads to the next, and there's connective tissues, because all throughout Phase 4, post-credit scenes were just so random. It's just like, wait, when are we going to go back to Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings? And when are we going to go back to, Doctor Strange and the post-credit scenes there? It just seems so random. But this one actually feels like, okay, this is going in. Obviously, it's not going to, Loki season 2, I think, is going to get Secret Invasion and then Loki. But all to be said, it's within 6 months that we're going to get the follow-up to that moment being built there. So seeing Mobius and seeing Loki, looking at Victor Timely, and like you said, Brandon, it's like, oh, he seems like a nice guy. And just seeing again, kind of like Janet in the film, that fear, like, no, he is someone we should be afraid of. He is someone should be taken down. So it just gets me, as I already was excited for season 2 of Loki, this just takes it over the top. So I am super excited to explore that new season, to explore that scene, and to get more of Jonathan Majors, man. So I think it's safe. And I don't know if y'all saw the clip of Kevin Feige. It was on the red carpet when you guys were there. Someone had interviewed him, the host had interviewed him, and he almost like slipped up and said, and we already shot, and he stopped himself. So I would assume that was maybe alluding to, we already shot him for season 2 of Loki, or, who knows, he might be in the Marvels, but I'm safe to assume that he was possibly referring to that scene that we saw at the end of it, him being maybe like throughout the season Loki, like the big bad throughout that season.
Oh,
right on. Before I come to you, E-Man, I don't even know really who Victor Timely is, but I was looking this up. Mayor, industrialist, inventor, rival to Henry Ford and Thomas Edison. Victor Timely is all these things and more than meets the eye. And if we scroll down, of course, it says, he's related to Kang. In 1901, the brilliant industrialist and inventor Victor Timely founds the town of Timely, Wisconsin. As its first mayor and leader in the industry, he transforms the city into a technological marvel, though his true self acts behind closed doors and lays out the foundation for future conquest. And this is just talking about, born in the year 2000 and the future reality Earth 6311, Kang the Conqueror. Mm-hmm. So E-Man, like you have any more commentary, my brother, on this post-credit scene and what it leads to Loki?
No, I mean, the fact that if memory serves me right, Victor Timely is just Nathaniel Richards. Like, that's just him when he traveled back in the time and just poses as these other figures. Like, that's kind of like what he does. He will go back or in the future and just live different lives. He'll live different types of lives under different guises, and as a result, this is how his variants also get created. But I do think that this is like, again, Marvel might change it up. So it's one of those things where, like, you don't want to rely too much on the comics because it might not be easy to absorb. I mean, even in the comics, Kang made no sense. Granted, he is a paradox, right? Like, he is a time paradox in himself, but it was so hard to conceive that they had to like redo his they had to retcon his origin or whatever. So I hope that they kind of sort of simplify it here for us in this one. But the fact that this just tied into Loki season 2, and I do think that he already shot his scenes. I'm pretty sure they did. I'm here for this, and like I said, I mean, this got me excited for Loki. It got me excited for Kang Dynasty. I'm already, Ant-Man 3 is in the rearview mirror at this point.
Yes, sir. I agree. Well said. I'm looking forward to it as well. Before we get our ratings and rankings and all that stuff, I want to have a quick conversation, and I'm gonna title this "The Future of the MCU." Hold on, after Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. The reason why I say that is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is, what they say is the beginning of phase 5. We just got out of phase 4. Everyone is talking about online that phase 4 is possibly the weakest in the MCU. We know that majority of that was under the helm of Bob Chapek, unfortunately, who is no longer the CEO of Disney. Thank God. Bob Iger is back. Tried to talk to him, Elliot. I got shut down on the red carpet. That video is coming out very soon. Man, it was quite funny. And so the reason why I say all of that is with Iger coming back, he just had his call. And they're laying off 7,000 people. Unfortunately, I think that's like 3% of the company. I'll talk about that in another live in more depth. But one of the things he did say is that he is giving creative control back to he's giving control back to the creatives. And so I don't know exactly how much was taken away from Kevin Feige during phase 4 with Bob Chapek, but I can imagine that Kevin Feige has a lot more power now that Iger is back. And I bring it up because this film, Thor: Love and Thunder, which is not that popular amongst people, I liked it though, and the Marvels were filmed at the same time as Quantumania. So with that being said, who knows how much leeway they had? But again, Iger is back, so they're going to have more freedom. And if we look at all the films in the MCU, of course, what we have next is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in May, and also have the Marvels and just July. Of course, these films are finished filming, but Captain America 4, Captain America New World Order, that comes out May of next year. They have not started filming this film yet. If they have, I would be surprised. At the latest, they're going to start filming this film, in May of 2023. So since they haven't put anything on film just yet, I think Captain America New World Order will be the first film in phase 5 under the new regime that we will see a change and or a boost in quality. Excuse me. How do y'all feel about that? Does that make any sense? You agree, disagree? Elliot, you go first.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, we all celebrated like we won the Super Bowl recently from shout out to the Chiefs when we heard Bob Iger was coming back. I know Brandon was just elated when we got that announcement. So yeah, no, I think it's exciting. I do think I think Bob Iger, to me, his return was more of a Disney focused business strategy plan versus like really having like some type of insight on what Kevin Feige is doing. If anything, he just said, Kevin Feige, just keep doing what you're doing and keep it moving versus like sitting down with a strategy, having plans or whatnot. Because we see right now his biggest move is Zootopia 2, Toy Story 5. That's like the only thing I think he's going to be really doing with movies is helping that brand, because the animated world has been kind of down and out since the pandemic the last 2 years. So so as to answer your question, I don't think he's going to have that much influence on the MCU, if any, at all, besides, like I said, Kevin, keep doing your thing. But as far as answer your question, as far as projects moving forward, I think your boy Anthony Mackie came out not yesterday, but the day before. I think he said they're going to be filming next month, which is exciting. So, yeah, man, I think the future, again, knowing that Ant-Man wasn't, for me personally, it didn't live up to the expectations. Like Eman said at the very beginning, of like, this is a big event. Ant-Man is no longer coming after Avenger film. We will be the Avenger-esque type of film. I don't think it lived up to that expectation. But as far as which to me ties to, I don't think it was a satisfying conclusion to the trilogy, if I'm being honest. But then it does get me excited for the idea of what phase 5 will be, which is the multiversal saga. I think it definitely set the seeds and planted the seeds for Majors to really implement himself in that matter. So moving forward, I am very excited for Guardians 3. The trailer that we got recently definitely kind of, hits those notes of like getting these characters that we fell in love with back in 2014 of a talking raccoon and a tree that says 3 syllables. So I'm really excited for that one. The Marvels, I know, Eman, correct me if I'm wrong, you saw the trailer when you went to D23, right? And from what I'm understanding is it's kind of like, we'll see what comes of that. But I will say Kamala Khan got me excited with Miss Marvels. I am excited to see Photon with Tiana Paris. I'm intrigued to see what Tiana or Nia DaCosta does with Carol, because I think the two directors previously didn't know what to do with the character and really didn't give her much to do. So I'm hopeful that that will be a surprise film, and I think that film might have a little bit more to offer than what it's or we haven't got anything from the Marvel, so we'll see what comes with that. But I'll be honest with you both, I'm actually excited that come July, we won't get another film till May, because I think that's going to be a really good opportunity for Disney and Marvel and Kevin Feige to just let things breathe a lot more. We're going to get to TV shows, obviously, throughout that year gap, or almost a year gap. But I actually love the fact that we're not going to get a film for almost a year, because I think it's going to actually help the writing, storytelling, and really get back to getting excited for these films, because it just feels like I love the fact that we can see a Marvel film every 3 months, but also hate the fact that it doesn't allow films to build expectations, build excitement. So moving forward, hopefully we can get that excitement back. And I think Captain America New World Order, for all accounts, is shaping up to be something bigger than I ever thought it was. And I don't know if you remember, Brandon, when we had the conversation probably about a year ago when they announced this, I said that, my man, listen, no disrespect to Anthony Mackie, he's going to need all the help in the world to really build the box office. And so far, Harrison Ford and having all the different rumors out there, the leader being back, and having the rumors of, the Celestial in the middle of the ocean might be the, X-Men Island. I mean, there's a lot of rumors out there. We don't know what's true and what's not, but I'm more excited about it than I was when they first announced it.
Woo! I am excited. I am excited. But yeah, like you said, man, this is a 10-month gap between the Marvels and Captain America. So yeah, that's necessary.
Yeah.
Eman, like, what are your thoughts on the future of the MCU? Do you think? I mean, Ellie, you made a good point. So I think Iger just gonna be like, Kevin, keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, Eman, like, how you feel moving forward? And when do you think we're going to get out of this curse of the Phase 4, kind of like people are saying? Because I don't think Quantumania quite did it yet. Wait,
2 years.
2 years.
2
years.
Long
time, sir.
So a couple things. Yeah, I mean, one, let's take a look at what Kevin Feige actually said about Phase 4. It was all about introductions, but then he expounded on that and said, well, it was about introductions and having fun. We wanted to have fun with stuff. Fun is not what you need. Fun is not what's been helping. Fun is what's been hurting the MCU, because they've done too much. As I've always said, sometimes just because something is good don't mean that you need a whole lot of it. Small doses go a long way. And if you look back at the early MCU, the times where we were having a good time, they came in small doses. We didn't have predominantly huge, silly things. Ant-Man was literally the silliest or the most comedic that a movie would get in the MCU. In regards to Chapek and Iger, now I agree that it was more of a Disney move than it will be Marvel Studios impact. However, one thing that I think we will get is more of an intangible change, and what that will be is our expectations will be shaped, I think, more so by the marketing. So, for example, when it came to Doctor Strange, we saw Professor X. That was one of the biggest wastes of an expectation buildup, for a movie, because even though Doctor Strange fell a little flat in certain areas, had they kept that in their back pocket, my goodness, at least we would have had that little boost to kind of be like, oh my gosh. And then we'd remember that feeling. I think people take for granted those little surprising moments for granted in terms of how they impact our movie going experience. Like, we will forget how weak a movie is if you give us something really, really great in exchange, right? So, part of the things that Bob Chapek did was he put distribution people as middle management between him and Kevin Feige. So Kevin Feige didn't really have say in terms of what went to Disney Plus or what went to the theaters or how it was marketed or whatever, because he even kind of said like, he a company guy. He's not about to go sit here and throw the company under the bus, but you can read between the lines when he says like, yeah, I think we kind of, did a little too much with the trailers or something like that.
Right.
That lets me know he did not have that say so, and he didn't have the power to do what he thinks would have been a better route. And I do think, again, the way things are marketed to us are going to shape our expectations and therefore our movie going experience. So maybe some of these new movies are not going to spoil as much. Maybe they're not going to show as much. And that way, when we actually do go into the theater, we can be like, oh man, I can actually fully absorb this movie and fully appreciate it, because a lot of times people take for granted spoilers. When you see too much, when you keep watching all these TV spots and you want to watch all 3, 4, 5 trailers, which I tell you, only watch the first one at most. When you see all of that, what do you think that's going to do for the movie? That puts a harder, bigger burden on the movie to deliver. Like, okay, you showed me Professor X, you showed me this. What else you got? Reed Richards, okay, the spoiler YouTubers told me about that. What else you got? Nothing? That's it? Now I'm disappointed. Now the movie gets a Rotten Tomatoes, etc., etc. So I don't think that we're going to get out of that flood of creativity and process until after Captain America Captain America 4.
Yeah.
The Marvels, from what I saw at D23, they still having fun. The Marvel's still having fun, because from what I saw, I was like, are y'all dropping this on Disney Plus?
It gotta be better than the first movie though, right? Man.
I mean, I don't know. You adding more characters, that's the only thing I see. You know, and this is not a knock against the individual characters. And I'm a Nia DaCosta fan. I love the sister. She is great. But at the same time, I'm like, man, whatever sandbox they put you in, whatever shovel of fun they told you to dig with, that's a problem. Y'all need to throw all of that stuff away, you know? And I would also say that Guardians of the Galaxy, the number one thing that James Gunn and everybody else is like propping up is that this is going to be an emotional movie, that this is going to be like super sad, or, you know, it's the end of this roster and all this stuff. And maybe that's great, you know, for that. But my question is, how's that going to do on replay value? You know, we've already just experienced another MCU movie that deals with letting go or things dying with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And we've seen that it hasn't even lived up to its predecessors, you know, potential, because there's no rewatch value in that. No one, I mean, yes, you want to go see it because you want to see what happens. You want to see what path the characters take. But do you really want to go back and, you know, experience a sad movie again? Like, and is it even going to be uplifting at the end? Who knows? So I'm concerned about Guardians in that level. And when it comes to Captain America, I mean, I'm sorry, Anthony Mackie is not a lead actor.
He's just not. My boy.
You know, he's just not. I mean, listen, go through his track record.
Yeah,
my man excels greatly when he's a supporting character. When he's on there with somebody else, he's great. But when it revolves around him, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, call it the it factor, whatever you want to call it, it's not there. And they can't push it just because he's Captain America. I'm sorry, that's not a compelling mantle, because once again, we don't go to theaters for mantles. Nobody cares about a mantle. We care about the characters. And Sam, to be honest, Sam ain't even really all that well developed. Even with his own series, he's not that well developed, because Bucky was damn near stealing the show on his other show. Like, so for me, I'm like, yeah, you're going to need some Captain America Civil War type of help. You're going to need a Black Panther type of character to jump in. You're going to need someone popular like Spider-Man to come in. Because keep in mind, they stole the show on Captain America's movie. They were the reason why the trailers were hyped up so much and the anticipation was so big, because, oh my God, Spider-Man's coming to the MCU for the first time. Oh my God, Black Panther is coming to the MCU for the first time. You forgot it was a Captain America movie. It looked like a mini Avengers movie. Are you going to keep that same energy for this Captain America 4? Because Sam's going to need it. So no, I don't have high expectations. I mean, the leader, so like the leader, so Red Hulk, so Harrison Ford, so like what like that's really gonna get the people going? No, stop it. Like if they came in a Disney Plus show, fine. A Disney Plus movie, fine. In the theaters, that's not blockbuster. That's not box office. So no, I'm straight on that. Blade might be the actual, you know, because we've heard the stories of the writing was terrible and they had to get rid of the director, or the director left and all that. Maybe they got the wake-up call at that point, because if they put any silliness or whatever in Blade, throw the MCU away, but maybe Blade would be the actual kickoff, I think. And I'm just gonna kind of leave it at that because I don't see it getting that good anytime soon, man. It's just one of those things where, like, you know, they started a process and the process is so long. Like, think about this. Everything that we just got to at this point, right? Like, what is it? It's February 2023.
Yep.
They already announced all this stuff back in 2018. And we're just now catching up. Right. So it's kind of like everything in phase 4, everything in a little bit of phase 5, these things were already set in motion a long time ago. Now, Marvel couldn't predict whether or not phase 4 was going to be mid or not. Right. They couldn't predict that. But guess what? We gotta go through it. We have to trek through it. And I think that, like I said, for another year, maybe 2 years, we're going to have to deal with some more average movies until it picks up again. Throw in the X-Men, throw in, you know, Deadpool, throw in some more exciting, highly anticipated characters. Because right now, this is phase 4 part 2.
Man, well, I agree with a lot of that. Not all of it, respectfully. Just because I mean, I actually am pretty thrilled, bro, about New World Order.
Good luck.
I mean, I just am.
I'm hopeful for it, dude.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong as far as y'all not wrong as far as the star power and all that, but I don't know. I just kind of have high hopes for it. Yeah, and you know, 2 years from now, bro, that's Fantastic Four right there.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, these are characters, these are stories, these are household names that people have cachet with. Like Deadpool, that, first of all, I think that's an automatic banger. Like, that might just be a quick $1 billion, right? Yeah. Blade, like I said, that's kind of iffy. Thunderbolts, I have no idea what they're gonna do with that. I need more information first before I get excited or not. But, like, honestly, it's not until 2025 that I'll be like, okay, now I can start getting excited again. Okay. Now we have potential.
We don't have a date for exact date for this is Secret Wars. Not Secret Wars, Secret Invasion. Yeah. Even though we got a trailer,
I'm looking forward to that. Secret Invasion looks amazing. And I know we got a season 2 of What If coming. All this says, you know, 2023 mid late, and so I don't know exactly when that's going to be coming out. But of course, you guys let us know what you think in the comment section below.
Jump in, Brad. Said, did you see some of the more recent articles that came out today?
No, not today. What's up?
Well, they announced the Spider-Man 4 days ago, and that they have a story. That's Kevin Feige's came out, and I can see the article that Kevin Feige said the writers are already getting ready, and they got a deal pinned up for Sony.
Yeah, please send it. The last Spider-Man news I got was the noir stuff that's going over to Amazon.
Hold on, let me pull it up.
And while you're doing that,
Moon Knight will be coming back. It looks like.
Send me that real quick. While he's doing that, Eman, rank these real quick. Ant-Man 1, 2, and 3. Where you at? I'll go first while you think.
Please do, because that's hard.
For me, and the first one is the best, the second one is the second best, the third one, Quantumania, is my least favorite. I still enjoyed them all, but they're in order of their release date. The first one is the best, second one is second best, and the third one is the least favorite for me. Either one of y'all can go next.
It's easy for me. Ant-Man 1, this one, and then Ant-Man and Wasp is bottom.
Oh, really? You like this one more than Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Oh, 100%. Wow. Chasing a suitcase for the whole Ant-Man 2 film is ridiculous. Ghost is ridiculous. Lawrence Fishburne, I don't even know what he was doing in that film. I rewatched it 2 nights ago, and I despise that movie. It is ridiculous. So
I definitely don't hate Ant-Man 2 as much. So bad. I'm just gonna give Ant-Man 2 a slight bump. Okay, I'll go with 1 first.
Okay,
Ant-Man 1 first. Then I'll go Ant-Man 2 only because they brought back Luis. That's the only reason. That's literally the only reason. And this one is gonna be at the bottom because
gotcha.
If it wasn't for Kang,
gotcha.
Yikes.
I haven't posted my non-spoiler review yet. I recorded it. I'm almost done editing it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. This film, Quantumania, that's why I'm sticking it. Eman, Elliot, where y'all at the ranking of this movie by itself?
Score wise?
Yeah.
3 for me. 3 out of 5.
Oh, okay. I forgot you do out of 5. I was like, God, dang,
that's low.
Yeah. Okay. 3 out of 5. You say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm at a 6.5 out of 10.
6.5 out of 10. Okay, I got you. 6.5 out of 10, 7 out of 10, and a 3 out of 5. And just to let you guys know, on Rotten Tomatoes, the first Ant-Man, 83% from the critics, 85 from the audience. Ant-Man 2, 87 from the critics. It went up. So did the number of reviews. It was 339 reviews, and now it's 445, 87%. But the audience went down from 85 to 80. But now Quantumania, and we are filming this on Tuesday at 2. This is Valentine's Day, 2:14 in the evening, and the score is a whopping 55%. Oh my goodness gracious! Hey man, have you added your score yet?
I have. It's up there. I tried to help it. I tried.
Okay.
And I shared those articles with you. Yeah, I think this marks the second rotten film for an MCU film.
What was the other one?
Eternals.
Eternals.
Good. Did you email it to me or did you DM me?
I sent it to the private chat.
Oh, okay. I'm looking.
I like this. This is some good news.
Okay. Yeah. So y'all 55% right there. That's no bueno. But yeah, thank you, Elliot. Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 gets major update from Marvel CEO. I don't know. Is there a quote somewhere? Kevin Feige status. This major update indicated that a script could be submitted, with Feige saying that the movie's writers are just putting pen to paper now. All I would say is that we have the story, we have big ideas for that, and our writers are just putting pen to paper. Okay. Well, it's coming. Hopefully it's still controlled the same way, because I think for No Way Home, I think Sony paid for 75% and Marvel financed 25%.
Something like that.
Hopefully we can get closer to like a 50-50, and then Marvel can just steal it away. That would be dope. The second article right here, Marvel boss teases Hugh Jackman's incredible R-rated Wolverine return on top of Deadpool 3.
A little bit nervous about is it rated R? So now having Feige has submitted, it will be a rated R.
I mean, they've been saying it was going to be rated R. I don't know what people's tripping about.
It's amazing, and we've got Hugh Jackman coming back for our first Deadpool film within the MCU. That's our first. Okay. I was thinking it was another Wolverine movie. Okay. Cool. That's good. For me personally, that is where I started. I remember sitting behind. Okay, this is Jackman talking about the audition. We don't. Okay, cool. All right, and let me look at this third one here. Kevin Feige opens up about Phase 5, Kang and the future of the MCU. Nice. Man, okay, I don't. Okay,
it's a long. I put the two main things that caught my eye, which is the Harrison Ford is who he's going to be as far as the confirmation of his role in your most anticipated film, which he will be the president.
Okay, yeah. Kevin Feige says that Harrison Ford, Thaddeus Ross, will be the United States president and Captain. Oh, really? Thaddeus Ross is going to be the president. Wow.
He was already Secretary of State.
Yeah, which means to me that either the president, something's going to happen to him in Secret Invasion, which I think they kind of alluded to in the trailer.
Wow. So okay, we'll be seeing the dynamic between Captain America and the president in the U.S. That is just incredible. That would be amazing if it was just Steve Rogers, but it being Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
That is a black one, a black guy, a black one. A black one. Oh man, this is good news. Kevin Feige says few MCU shows will happen going forward, with more time given between each show's release. That's so brilliant. They can all have time to shine. Okay,
yes,
good.
You see, that's the difference between Chapek and Iger. Because Chapek would have been like, no, more, because we want more on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And Bob Iger just recently came out and said, we were making a mistake trying to go for more subscribers rather than quality content.
And they lost 2.4 subscribers in Q3. So,
and I've been telling people
million,
the subscriber game is not something you want to chase. It's stupid because there's a finite number. What you gonna do when you get the most amount? If you have all the people in the world, what you gonna do? Now you have to keep them. That means you need quality content.
I'm still surprised the price hasn't raised more.
It will.
That just seemed like it
It
would
will.
be. Also, is Disney Plus not in China? Is it?
I
But
don't know.
there's still a lot of countries, a lot of territories they don't even have.
They might not even be allowed.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, guys, we've been here for over 2 hours with a very lovely discussion about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Talked about the mid and post credit scenes. Talked about the future of the MCU. Talked about these articles. We rated the film. We ranked the film. We talked about this film in nauseum. I had such a good time with you guys. I always do. I look forward to these. These are like the highlight of my day. I know I love them. I know our fans love them. So, Elliot, E-Man, I want to thank you both so much for giving me 2 hours and 5 minutes of your time. I really do appreciate that. Elliot, what are the final things, your final words, anything you want to get off your chest, sir? Anything that I forgot to bring up? This is your time to shine, sir. And also to pub your channel and what exciting things you have coming up.
Yeah, man. Well, again, it's always so much fun to chat with you all about Marvel, and I'll just say this now: DC's coming, and I can't wait for the DCU to just take over. But no, guys, you can check me out here on YouTube, talking about stuff like Marvel, DC. We just got the release of You Season 4 Part 1, so I did something did a lot of coverage for that, and we do our weekly show with Serving every week, and this is the calm before the storm. We got Cocaine Bear later this month, and I think we'll all be seeing Creed next week, Creed 3, and then March is just like an avalanche of Shazam, 3 hours of John Wick. I mean, there's so much coming up. I mean, March all the way to I think August is going to be movies coming out every single week. So this is just the beginning of what I hope to be a good year for movies. So you all can check me out here on YouTube, and always love chatting with Eman and Brandon.
Yes, sir. Y'all help this man reach 50,000 subscribers. Next, we have E-Man with E-Man's movie reviews, sir. Thank you again so much for joining me. Look at his red carpet premiere video right here for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, how he flexing that Kang Gang shirt. Thank you again for being here, sir. And won't you let all the good people know what you have going on your channel for them to look forward to?
Yeah. So right after this, I'm going to be trying to work on just a couple Ant-Man related videos. One thing I'm kind of playing around with is like, how's Kang gonna come back? Or dang, I wrote it down, but stay tuned. I got some things that you didn't even know you had questions about, and you're gonna be like, that's right. I have a theory that explains Kang's tech and something that connects to the MCU. A lot of people had theories moving forward about how like Shang-Chi and Kamala Khan and like all that. It might not be the case. Or at least this movie doesn't prove it. But I have another theory that could actually explain it probably even better based off of what this movie said. So stay tuned. I got a couple little fun things. And of course, join us every Friday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We talk about all the news. We're going to break down this news that we just talked about now. I got to go read and digest it, and come back and have a good old time. So join us every Friday for the lives and subscribe.
Right on, man. Again, thank you so much. And last but not least, myself. Why everybody page look pretty but mine? But yes, my thumbnails aren't able to come up. Goodness gracious, YouTube. It's okay. But yeah, man, subscribe to my channel. Help me reach 50K subscribers as well. Also, E-Man, I want to thank you so much, bro, for inviting me to the red carpet, man. It blew my expectations away, man. Like real talk. I am happy. I am elated. It was wonderful. I met Jonathan Majors. I met Kevin Feige. It was wonderful, man. And I got these videos on my channel. I vlogged the experience. And so I will be releasing that. Well, by the time you see this video, it'll be up on my channel. But I had a great time. And hopefully this is the first of many. And if you guys want an audio only version of this episode, you can download that. It is available right now. Link is in the description with buzzsprout.com. I'm on all of these platforms right here, as well as SoundCloud as well. So get your audio only version going on as well. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery. That's Elliot, and E-Man. That's just our opinion. Peace out. and we'll see you next time. Actually, I forgot. I have a part 2 spoilers review that will be released the next day. I did that with Chris with 3C Films. And also, hopefully, if they change this spoilery embargo, I will be going live this Saturday for part 3. I'm going to be doing that review with Kimberly and whoever else is in the crew that wants to join as well. And so make sure you tune in for that. All right, we out of here for real this time. Peace out.